Hello everyone, Seago here, and today we are going to do the 7.1 Restoration Guide for Shamans. As you may know, I did I guess you could say pre-patch guide. I didn't really do a guide for 7.0. I was pretty busy with other stuff, but here I am with the 7.1 guide for Resto Shamans. So, in this guide, we're going to look at take an introduction, class of will, stuff like that, the strengths and weaknesses of a Resto Shaman. Then we're going to kind of talk about their spell summary, some of what the spells and utility they have. Then we're going to look at your stat priority, what kind of stats you need as a Resto Shaman. Then we're going to look at the artifact talents really quick. We're not going to spend too much time on that. Followed by your talents and some of the builds you can take. Then we'll do rotation, cooldowns, abilities, all that fun stuff. And then we'll take a quick look at some of your trinkets you should be using and the legendaries you really want. So let's get started. Overall, Resto Shaman is a extremely flexible healing class that truly shines when it's healing groups of people. They also have the best utility out of any of the healers. They have Spirit Link Totem. If you talent into it, you have Cloudburst Totem. You have Spirit Walker's Grace. You just have all these things that just make Resto Shaman, I would say, almost mandatory in a raid setting. And they're pretty awesome when it comes to Mythic Plus dungeons, too. Some of the Resto Shaman strengths, they amazing at group healing. They're the best at it. They're awesome when a bunch of burst damage is coming out. That's another thing. They got the amazing life-saving potential because of their mastery. The more mastery you get, the more you heal when a target's low health. They got great mobility because of Ghost Wolf, and they have the Wind Rush Totem that gives everybody a movement speed buff for if they walk past it. They got, I would say, the best healing per second as well. Druids might be, it's probably a close between Druids and Shamans. I'm probably being a little biased here with the Shaman. And when it's needed, they can do pretty decent damage. So Mythic Plus, where sometimes the healer needs to damage a little bit, they're pretty decent at it. The big weaknesses of a Resto Shaman is they're pretty crappy when the raid is spread. A lot of their spells require the raid to be somewhat stacked together. Healing Rain requires people to actually be in the Healing Rain. And Chain Heal, well, it's more effective when there's people around to actually Chain Heal. And they're not that great of tank healing, and they don't have that. I don't think they even have any tank cooldowns really to put on a tank. So those are some of their weaknesses. Now let's go on to the stats. These are what you need as a Resto Shaman. If you played Resto Shaman before, nothing's changed. Mastery and crit. You want to get all that mastery you can, followed by crit. I have some pieces of haste. That's a lot of other Resto Shamans don't have that much haste because you just want crit mastery. I think the legendary Reen has haste on it. Yeah, so it'd be awesome if it had mastery. That would have been awesome. But it's still my best in Reen. But yeah, it's crit mastery, haste, and versatility is the last stat. Versatility is a boring stat. Yeah, but that's your stats. Now let's go ahead and take a quick look at your spells. Let's see, open the spell book. We're just gonna focus on a couple of spells in the spell book right now, and then a lot of the others are talents and stuff we'll get into. But your single target heals is your Healing Surge and Healing Wave, which Healing Surge is faster but costs more mana, and I don't think it heals as much as Healing Wave. Healing Wave takes a little bit longer to cast, but costs less mana and heals more. You have Chain Heal, which is your AoE Chain Heal, which just bounces to a couple targets. You have Healing Rain, which is your blanket heal. You place it on the ground and it heals up to 6 allies on the ground. You have your Healing Stream Totem, which is a totem that heals nearby members. That's like throws like a little splash of water at a target every couple seconds. And you have your Lava Burst, your Lightning Bolt, Chain Lightning, and Flame Shock. Those are your DPS abilities, I have them down here because I do a lot of Mythic plus dungeons, and sometimes I DPS when there's not a lot of healing going down, but uh, that's about it for that. You have your artifact ability, which is Gift of the Queen, which it's a little thing you put on the ground there, and it heals up to 6 injured allies within 12 yards for such and such, and increases their maximum health by 10% for 6 seconds. So it's a nice little. Depends on the situation. I kind of tried to put it with the tanks and the melee, so the tanks get some extra health there for a little bit, especially when there's a bunch of damage going out on the tanks. Spark Walker's Grace lets you cast and heal at the same time. Healing Tide Totem is your big healing cooldown, so is Spirit Link Totem. Spirit Link Totem is pretty much like a damage reduction. And we'll talk about Cloudburst Totem here in a second, and we'll also talk about Earthen Shield Totem because that's part of your talent tree. And of course you have Ghost Wolf, which turns you into a nice little Ghost Wolf right there. And Heroism, which we all know what Heroism does. You also have a defensive cooldown called Ancestral Shift, which you take 40% less damage for 8 seconds. And of course you have Riptide. I always forgot to rip out Riptide, which is your hot ability. You usually put this on the tanks, and we'll talk about a little bit more about this here in a second when we get to the talents. I should say your rotations, not your talents. But yeah, I believe those are all your abilities. Purify Spirit is your Dispel. I guess we should talk about Wound Share, because pet peeve of mine is people don't interrupt. Everyone should try to interrupt if you can. Healers, tanks, DPS, interrupt. I can't tell you how many times I've died in a group where because people didn't interrupt. Maw of Souls is a good example of people who don't like to interrupt, and we wipe on stupid crap. Let's talk about passives, why not? You have Resurgence, which anytime your heals do a critical, you refund a percentage of your mana. Tidal Waves, when you cast Chain Heal or Riptides, it reduces the cast time of your next healing wave or increases the critical effect chance of your next healing surge by such and such, and it stacks up to 2 times. Reincarnate, you get like a free res for yourself. And your Mastery, I talked about this a little bit, I believe, increases your healing from your spells by up to 76% based on the current health of your target. Lower targets are healed for more. So the lower the target, the more you heal them. That's why Shamans are pretty good and they do a lot of healing when the group, raid, whatever, is at a low amount of health. But let's go talk about your artifact really quick. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. You could take a look at it yourself. I'll show you like a quick path, like which ways you want to go for this artifact. So you start here, you want to go right all the way to the first gold talent tree, then left to right here to pull up the seas. You want to go this way, that way, then that one to your second golden tree, then you come back and you take the rest of these to there, and you just kind of fill these out. I believe you get this one, you get this one, and then you fill that out. But yeah, that's your artifact talent tree. It has a pretty good golden talent trees on here. This one increases your healing tide heals. This one gives your healing stream totem a hot ability, which is pretty awesome. And this one, whenever you riptide a target, you have a chance to summon a tidal totem, which heals nearby allies for some amount, which is an extra AoE heal. So I don't have that yet. I'm hoping to have that here within a week or two, maybe sooner. It depends on how much I want to grind for that artifact power. But that's your artifact talent tree. That's it in a nutshell. Let's get to your talents. There's a couple ways you could go with this. So we'll just start out with each row and talk about them for a second. Some abilities I won't talk about because they're never going to be worth taking. So let's start with the level 15. You have Unleash Life and you have Torrent. And Torrent is a good choice for almost all situations, as it gives Riptide a little more of a punch, since it increases the initial heal by Riptide by 30%, which is pretty awesome. And Riptide is already one of your most efficient heals, and so just telling that makes it even better. Unleash Life heals I believe it heals a friendly target for a moderate amount and increases your next direct heal's potency by 45%. Now, if you're going for a chain heal build, which you'll just spend most of your time chain healing, Unleash Life can be pretty good because you'll use Unleash Life that will buff your chain heal and you would chain heal, which is pretty good. I still like Torrent more because I'm more of a guy who the less healing abilities I have to worry about, the better. So, I mean, Unleash Life is good, but I think Torrent still pulls out ahead. For your level 2 is between these two right here, Graceful Spirit and Windrush Totem. Graceful Spirit is more of a out in the world leveling, questing stuff build. Windrush is the totem that increases everybody's movement speed who walks by it. It's 60% increased movement speed for 5 seconds, so creating raid encounters, this is the one you'll be taking most of the time. Your level 45 talents, you're not going to take DC, you're going to take Lightning Surge because it's an AoE stun. That's pretty much all that there is to say about that one. It's the default choice. That's it. For your level 60 talents, we'll talk about each of these. Crashing Wave causes Riptide to gain an additional charge of Tidal Wave, so you could have 3 Tidal Waves instead of 2. Ancestral Guidance lasts 10 seconds and converts 20% of damage and healing to healing on 3 nearby party members or raid members. And you have Deluge, which causes Chain Heal to heal targets that have Riptide or are standing within healing range to heal for 20% more. Now, between these 3, they're all viable. I usually go from Crashing Waves to Deluge. If I know I'm going to be chaining heal a lot, I'll be using Deluge. If I'm not using that much, if I'm more of a single target build where there's not that much AoE going out, then Crashing Waves would be a lot better. And Ancestral Guidance is, I would say it's pretty good for Mythic Plus. I haven't used it that much in Mythic Plus, but it's a pretty good one. Now, your level 75 talents, you have a choice between, let's see, Ancestral Protection Totem, Earthen Shield Totem, and Ancestral Vigor. Now, Ancestral Protection Totem is pretty much, it lasts 30 seconds and allows an ally to reincarnate at 20% health if they die. That's Ancestral Protection in a nutshell. It has a 5-minute cooldown. Okay. Earthen Shield Totem redirects a flat amount of damage taken from nearby allies to the totem. So you place that down, and when allies are getting damaged, that totem will take the damage instead. And Ancestral Vigor causes targets healed by, I think it's, Healing Wave, Healing Surge, Chain Heal, or Riptide, and they gain 10% increased health. Ancestral Vigor works in almost any situation, but Earthen Shield Totem is better for when you know the group's about to take a large amount of damage. Well, you place that down and that will start taking the damage instead. I like this one on Ursak a lot, especially when I know the tanks are about to take a bunch of damage. I put that down and it helps with that damage. So, an Ancestral Totem is... I don't care for it. It's a 5-minute cooldown, and I'm sure someone's will probably die, but I'd rather choose one of these two right here. And personally, I'd rather go with Earthen Shield Totem. So let's go to the level 90. Your tier 6 talents. You have Bottomless Depths, Cloudburst Totem, and Echo of the Elements. We're not going to talk about Bottomless Depths because it's not that great of a talent, but we will talk about Cloudburst Totem and Echo of the Elements. Cloudburst Totem absorbs 30% of your healing for 15 seconds and releases the stored healing when it expires, split between all allies within 40 yards. And you can recall the totem early to get that healing earlier. And you have Echo of the Elements, which grants additional charge to Riptide, Healing Dream, and Lava Burst. And you also have a 10% chance to gain a charge of Riptide when you consume Tidal Waves. Now, Cloudburst Totem is really awesome. It's going to be the winner. It's the winner in most situations. It allows you to preemptively. How do I want to say this? Preemptively major bursts of rage damage with these. It allows you to heal preemptively major burst damage with these. So Ursak is another great example when he's going to rush the one guy and do that AoE. Well, you can actually place that down. What I think like 10 seconds. What was it? 15 seconds. So 15 seconds, maybe a little bit sooner before you know he's going to cast it. Then place that down, get some healing out, and then when he's charging, well, you use that to heal everybody back up. Echo of the Elements is good for high movement fights where your healing output is less of a concern. It's really good in dungeons because it provides good damage and flexibility. Because you also get 2 charges of Lava Burst. So it's between these two. Choose what you will. I still kind of like Echo of the Elements better, but if you're good at predicting and knowing exactly when to use Cloudburst Totem, then Cloudburst Totem is the way to go. Your level's 100 talents. Wellspring's not going to be used, so we're not going to talk about that. But Ascendance, we all know, lasts 15 seconds and causes all healing to be duplicated and split between allies. And you have High Tide, which allows Chain Heal to bounce to one additional target and decrease the fallout penalty each bounce by 50%. High Tide is, I think, the best choice for almost all raid situations because it gives the most throughput, and it's especially strong when you pair it with Deluge and makes your Chain Heals awesome. Ascendance is better for intense periods when you gotta get a lot of healing out, especially. And I would say more of a AoE spread kind of situation, then Ascendance would pull out ahead of High Tide. But those are your talents, and this is the build I usually go. So Torrent, Wind Rush, Lightning Surge, Deluge, Earthling Shield, Echo of the Elements, High Tide. A couple can be changed. Ascendance, High Tide can be switched out. Cloudburst Totem, Echo of the Elements can be switched out. Earthling Shield Totem, and I guess Ancestral Vigor if you want to, but I would just keep Ancestral Vigor. Any 3 of these is your choice, and this is just, I guess, Unleash Life and Torrent can be switched out too. But this is what I usually go with, and it works well. I have never had any big problems healing or anything like that, so yeah. But let's get to your rotation. I hate calling it a rotation. It's a priority because healers really don't have a rotation. I don't think any healer has a rotation anymore. Paladins and Mists of Pandaria did, but I think that's the last time a healer truly had a rotation. I could be wrong, but right now I'm thinking about it, and I don't think any of the healers I play really have a rotation. It's a priority list. So the first thing is you want to keep Riptide up on your both tanks, and if you can on maybe a couple DPS. Maybe a couple DPS you know who are going to take some damage. You want to use, and of course remember Riptide gives you those tidal waves, which you want to try to pair tidal waves with Healing Wave or Healing Surge because of the passive that you get. You also want to use Gift of the Queen whenever available, so whenever it's off cooldown, you want to try and use that. Use Healing Rain when you know a couple people are going to be stacked up in an area. You don't really want to waste your Healing Rains. You don't want to just put it down when there's one person standing on it. That's not going to really benefit you in any way. Make sure you're using Chain Heal for your AoE healing when there's a bunch of damage coming out. If you're expecting to Cloudburst Totem, make sure you're using... Some people say use on cooldown, but if you know there's going to be a big spike of damage coming out in, say, 15 seconds, you want to use the 15 seconds before then. Same thing with Earthen Shield Totem. You want to use that either when there's a bunch of damage about to come out, or use it on cooldown. So, a good, like on Ursak, you want to use Earthen Shield Totem when you know there's a bunch of damage coming out. But let's say another fight like the first boss, use it on cooldown because there's not going to be big spikes of damage unless your other groups in your team are standing on the bugs, which they shouldn't be standing on the bugs. Tell them to stop that. Okay, let's see. Make sure you're using your Healing Stream Totem on cooldown as well. Those should always be on cooldown. I have 2, so I believe you can use 2 and they'll both be healing. I don't think I'm wrong there. Make sure now your big healing cooldowns. I'm not gonna tell you when to use those. Your heal leader or raid leader or whoever will tell you when to use those. So Healing Tide Totem, Spirit Link. Your free team will tell you when to use them. I'm not going to tell you when to use them because everybody's different. Make sure you're using Spirit Walker's Grace when you know you're going to be moving a lot for a couple minutes. Or not a couple minutes, more like 15 seconds. And I think that's it. Like I said, it's not really a priority. I mean, it's not really a rotation, it's a priority. When there's single target healing, make sure you're having your Tidal Wave procs and make sure you're using Healing Wave for Healing Surge. Healing Surge is more of your, oh crap, he's about to die spell, while Healing Wave is more like just keeping everybody topped off, keeping everybody going. That's how to really explain those two spells. When there's AoE damage coming out, make sure you're having your Healing Rain on at least a couple players. Like I said, if you're just using it on 2, you're pretty much wasting it. Chain heal as often as there's AoE damage going out. Unlike most shamans, Resto Shamans, and I like to spam chain heal. That's me, because chain heal is awesome. And I believe that's it. I don't think I'm missing anything. Let me look at my notes, because I don't think I'm missing anything. Oh yeah, Wind Shear, interrupt often when you can. If you're not busy healing and there's an interrupt that needs to go off, you should interrupt, because your raid team would love you. I think that's it for your rotation. Looking at my notes. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's not that hard, really. It's easy to get into. Shamans, I think, are probably one of the easier healing classes to learn and master. And I think they're one of the better fun ones. I would say I'm maybe a little biased, but I do like Resto Druid too. They're really fun as well. And I think that's it for the rotation. That's all I got for my notes. So we're moving on to... Actually, one thing I did forget. This is part of the stats, which... like I said in Stats Mastery. Enchants, gems, they're all Mastery too. Neck piece, I don't remember the enchant name, but it's whatever, the one that gives you mastery. So yeah, that's it. So everything mastery. But let's look at your best in slot trinkets and legendaries. Oh, not wrong. You know, this is the right one. So your best trinkets are right now in the Emerald Nightmare. They are the one from Ursak, the Heightened Senses. I haven't been lucky to get this one yet, but you don't want it for the versatility, you want it for the equip, which your Swelling Hills have a chance to grant you such and such haste and intellect for 12 seconds, which would be mainly just for the intellect, but it's definitely one of the better trinkets, I would say. Technically, there's 3 trinkets you could get. Vial of Nightmare Fog is from these guys. Your healing spells have a chance to apply a Spirit Fragment, preventing the next such and such damage done to the target for 15 seconds, so it prevents damage being done. This is a really awesome trinket in itself. Definitely highly recommended. And if you're having mana problems, you want the trinket from Eleutheriel Renferal, Spider Boss, which is Cocoon of the Enforced Solitude, which wrap yourself in a cocoon, entering a dreamless sleep for 10 seconds, which stores your mana. But yeah, those are the 3 trinkets you really want. Again, this one is more about if you're having mana problems, then you want that one. But the other two, Wild Nightmare Fog and Heightened Senses, are the ones you want the most. Because they'll help your healing per second, your throughput, the most. And take a quick look at your legendaries. Everybody loves them legendaries, am I right? Right? Everybody's got one, right? I hope so. But yeah, your best one is the Focuser of not the Elder. This is the one I have, which Healing Wave and Healing Surge increases the healing of your next chain heal by 15%, stacking up to 5 times. So that's 75% more for a chain heal, which is awesome, especially when you know when to use it. Your second best is the Elemental Rebalancers, with allies within your healing range receive 10% increased healing from your other healing spells. That's simple enough. I don't need to explain that anymore. The third best, and it's more situational than the others, is Praetorian's Tide Callers, which increases the duration of Healing Stream Totem, Healing Tide Totem, and Spiraling Totem by 20%. That's your third best, and it's pretty good. And your fourth best is the Intact Najatar's Molting, which casting Riptide on a target below 40% health resets the remaining cooldown on Riptide. Simple enough. And the fifth best is... where is it? Oh, there it is. Nabuno's Redemption, which chain heal reduces the mana cost of your next healing surge by 30%. The others are... they're not shaman specific, but they're like more utility based. And I mean, if you get one, it wouldn't be the end of the world, but hopefully you get lucky enough to get one of the other Resto Shaman specific legendaries. But yeah, that's gonna do it for me. I hope you like this video. Tell me what I need to improve on and stuff like that. Please like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. If you have any questions, let me know. Just comments in the comments section. Ask me on Twitter or Facebook. I'm happy to answer any of your healing questions. But that's going to do it for me for this video. I will talk to you guys next time. Peace out.